surgeon's dead, call the policeman's dead, the drunk murder's dead, Simply's killing time, the clock's low to sugar.
1,000 dead horses, 1,000 witches, and the birds are sweetly singing, and the birds are softly singing, and the light is leaving us all.
We're going to be installing object labels so people know all the names of the pieces. We have about 128 object labels. It's good times.
Hey, Jackie.
Yes, titles like Antichrist watching us all. Can't beat that. My background is in exhibition design and museum studies, and my graduate degree is from Cal State Fullerton. You know, it's interesting for me because I came to David through the art and not through the music. And most people that I've met, or the fans that I've met, find that really odd because they always associate David with the music.
I feel like he's one of these creators and musicians who has been part of, you know, my influence and my energy and my life. As he's evolved, I've evolved, and I've listened to his music, and it goes back to, I guess, 1978, something like that. So a long time.
It's a combination of the darkness and the light. It's beautiful, it's terrible, it's wonderful, it's scary. It's everything I love is all wrapped up in those sounds and those lyrics.
I still go back and listen to a lot of the early Current records and have the same feeling that when I first heard them. There's a deep emotional kind of instant connection to them, and I'm not sure I can really articulate what it is, but it's a very profound connection. So
the music gets at something that is indescribable. The music gets at a feeling of disquiet, a feeling of introspection, a feeling of darkness, a feeling that is at once disturbing and also comforting, that there's this place in the mind that we find ourselves when we're alone and we're quiet and not always at our best, that the music gets at.
So close your eyes on Hushabye Mountain. Wave goodbye to cares of the day. And watch about from Hushabye Mountain. Sail far away from Lullaby Bay.
My real love is art that speaks to you in a different way and is something sort of outsider or visionary, the strange, unusual, the unknown. I've always been fascinated with that. You know, when I first started doing research, I was just immediately taken and in love with the work. I see this show as an immersive experience. I don't really see it as a traditional installation or traditional exhibition. And I don't really think a traditional exhibition really would have worked for these pieces. They sort of talk to each other and they play off each other. And I don't know, like when I walk through the gallery, I sort of see it as a dance. It's interesting, it's childlike, there's a playfulness to it, and it's so what it is, and it's not ashamed for that, and I love that.
My name is Sean Richards. I'm the co-curator of Invocation of Almost, the art of David Tibet. There's very few interviews that exist with David. I think it's been somewhat purposeful for him. He denies a lot of interviews. He doesn't want to talk a great deal about his work. For David to come out and do something like this and be here in person, as far as I know, I think it's never happened before. It is definitely the first large-scale exhibition of David's work, and it's the first time he's been David out in a crowd and meeting the fans. And for David Tibet, who is a somewhat mysterious figure, it's extremely unlikely.
Invocation of Almost, the art of David Tibet. Here I come.
Ooh. Wow, here we go. Oh. Wow. Oh, wow. What? Oh, amazing. I think that's a bit of bird dropping from a seagull in Hastings. So, all the way here. Absolutely astonishing. Oh. It's really overwhelming. I can't believe how beautiful it is. It's really... I had no idea of the size and the space, because although Sean and Jackie send me really detailed and very helpful videos and measurements, you don't have a space. You don't have a sense. You know, when they said the walls are 14, the ceiling is 14 feet high, it doesn't really mean anything, you know. You can't conceptualize it. Oh, wow.
So this is the book in which I wrote The Light is Leaving Us All. I guess you can see the different coloured inks are not for emphasis. I just run out of ink and will then just pick up the next pen. I don't really think about it, I don't conceptualize it. A phrase will come to mind. It might be there for years, and then suddenly that almost of that phrase becomes real, and it will set off an album or a painting. These were obviously all possibilities somewhere there, and those possibilities that are somewhere there have come here, and now they're here. From her eyes, the light has left her quite, and all fall down. Their light is leaving them, or the light is leaving them, which was as a gift for a period, their light, but it's all been taken away from us. It's going, and then it's gone. One chance only. After that, nothing. Only one chance. I don't really think I'm very much to do with any of this, that it comes to me. And I don't mean that to sound mystical or pompous or pretentious, because I hope I'm none of those things. A crack opens in my head and these pour in, and I write or I paint or I speak what's coming in. All these ideas aren't ideas, these are just stuff. So I have to live and act according to what my heart tells me and what my head tells me, especially when a crack opens in my head and the playmates come to play and gamble, skip and hop and have picnics. Evidently, I think. Yeah.
You know, this was really quite something. My partner, boyfriend Sean, was wearing a t-shirt, and the image on that t-shirt just really struck me.
She always said, I love that t-shirt on you, I love that t-shirt. And finally one day she said, who is that artist? You know, who is that?
And I started doing research on David Tibet. And I knew of Current 93, but I never had really followed the band.
And then Jackie had a dream.
And the dream was that I was essentially standing in the exhibition that you see here. And I was walking through the gallery with David, and I was holding the book that we produced of the artwork.
I said, Jackie, we gotta contact him now. We have to.
I remember those first emails. I recently reviewed them, and I look back at that fondly, because it was about 2.5 years ago when we first connected, and the almost became a reality. Or this idea that came out of a t-shirt, an illustration on a t-shirt, became something.
It's just a dream come true.
Should be like here. Push back.
I started painting these images of a black house or a black barn with a red roof after I became fascinated and focused on a famous murder that took place in England in the early 19th century, and it was called the Red Barn, or the murder of Maria Martin. But this woman, she started dating a man called William Corder. She became pregnant and insisted that he do the right thing and marry her. He said to her, okay, I'm going to marry you, but we've got to get away from here. Meet me in the Red Barn tonight. She was never seen again. And eventually, so it said, Maria's stepmother had a dream where Maria Martin appeared to her stepdaughter, and said, I've been murdered and I'm in the Red Barn. Something about it just hits me and hurts me. Even just the name, the Red Barn. And when I was a young boy, I was living in Malaysia, and I was sent by my parents from Malaysia to a prep school called Red House, which is in Yorkshire, Northern England. And for reasons that I can't say, it was a very terrible place with a lot of awful, awful things happening to the children there. It was a place that we couldn't escape from. Really bad things happened. And so all these paintings I tend to call Red House as Red Barn. And for me, I've made a connection between them. You know, when I'm painting it, I'm really not thinking of the murder anymore. I'm thinking of the school and what lives in places like this. If you open up the doors to Red House or the Red Barn, what's inside?
Drive this like you've done this before.
So I think roughly there's about 200 framed pieces of artwork. For the photographs, I can't remember the exact count, but it's at least 200 or 300 individual photographs. So it was quite the process because it's a lot of work. We still have to do the lighting. The lighting there's actually mesh screens that have to go on the lights to sort of give it like a filtered dim effect. But mainly it's finished except for that. So a long time in the process.
It all happens so fast. Every month you're counting down, you're looking at your timeline and you're thinking, oh, I have 2 years, oh, I have a year. And then all of a sudden tonight I'm standing outside and I think, I have no time left. Some people will come into this exhibition and they will feel how they're going to feel, and I think that's great. And some people will love it and some people will hate it, and I think that's great too, because I think it's good to at least get a reaction. And if that reaction is good or if that reaction is bad, at least it made you feel something. And that moment is very raw. And I think that's really important to say, because I think as a curator, I can only do so much. I can organize, I can lay out the work, but the work is the artist. The work comes from the artist, and I take no credit for that.
I look around and I think there's a lot of humour in these pieces, and there's a lot of seriousness and just seeing aspects of myself and aspects of the things that really move me. I'm looking here, I'm looking at drawings I've done of Pazuzu, the Babylonian demon, and I see him overshadowing this series of children singing in hell. Seems dark, but these are children singing in hell, and Pazuzu is keeping them there, but they will all be liberated, as we can all be liberated and we can be free without the masks that we wear, without the myriad of faces that we shove on ourselves to lie to ourselves and to lie to our friends. But we can't lie to God, and in the end we're all naked before the Aleph. I'm now looking around, if I think of my earlier work, this is a lot more playful, and playful masks are better than grim masks. But there's a few more masks yet to go.
The art world needs more artists like this. I think it's refreshing. Because when you had said you've never seen anything like this before, isn't that refreshing? To walk into a gallery, and even if you love it or hate it, to say, I've never seen something like this before. I think that's really great. I think it's really great to walk into a space and feel like you discovered something new. And so yes, I think the art world would be better off with more people like David.
Being an artist is breathing. It's not a signifier to bring value to his life. It is just intrinsically what he is, who he is. The works that he produces are breaths of air, and they are organic parts of him in the same way that our lungs fill with oxygen, and when it's expelled, it comes from our body. Tibet's work is like that.
If I had to answer who David Tibet is, I would say he's a visionary genius.
Arcane sleuth.
The word poet pops into mind.
David Tibet is a force of nature. He's like a scientist of the mind, an artist of the soul.
The term visionary, I think, is somewhat appropriate.
A scholar and a teacher.
It's kind of what you'd call an antiquarian.
Explorer of undercurrents.
David Tibet is a focal point.
Who is David Tibet?
No one. There's no one here. I don't know. What can I say? I don't know myself. None of us know ourselves. God has put us here. Who knows? I haven't got a fucking clue.
Streaming like sparrows, the great star in the sky, and on that hill are 30 red houses, 30 red houses upon a red hill, and 30 dead horses upon a dead hill. I stand on White Hill and Red Hill and Green Hill. There's 30 great horses arising, but let's just take 4, a sweet number. Just add 1 to the Trinity, the monad to the triad, as stars as grammar or use knife. Scan the stars, the light is leaving us all.
California dreaming on such a sunny winter day. California dreaming, California dreaming, California dreaming. Bye.